I'm Noel Kloddick, and I'm showing you the casting process for our dynamic response or Phatbraces AFO. In an AFO, we always have a patient who will fail into a valgus position, as this patient does, or a patient that goes into a varus position, more in this sense. And so it's nice to have them in a neutral, but this casting process should work for either one of them, and I'll show how to align both of those positions up on the patient's leg. The things that you'll need for casting it is stockinette to go on the patient's leg, or hosiery, which is what I prefer to use. If someone has a hairy leg, you might want to use 2 hosiery. Gloves, fiberglass water, a small piece of polyethylene as a footboard, and some adjustable heel height boards to set the height of the patient. This patient wears about a 1/2 inch heel height, so I'm going to raise that to about 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to use a combination of a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch, or a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch lift in the combination underneath of a board to give the displacement of the foot to match his shoe, but also to set the carbon fiber spring so that the carbon fiber spring is going to start acting a little bit before mid-stance, be acting some at stance phase or 90 degrees, and then load up over the 8 degrees of dorsiflexion to give him the appropriate push off. So I'm setting the timing by setting that position in his casting. Secondarily, in the spring is a flat leaf spring, and that leaf spring only likes to bend in one direction. We're going to line up that leaf spring under the patient's foot so that that flat part is perpendicular to this medial aspect of the patient's foot. Okay, that way it's always bending and using the foot as the best lever arm. So if we have a patient who's externally rotated in their positioning, as this patient is, that would turn the leaf spring so it's not in alignment with the patient's knee. And so we have to correct that rotation to bring the patient back into a neutral alignment so that the spring can actually use the forefoot as the lever arm as the patient moves forward over their foot. So in doing so, we'll start off with the hosiery on the patient's leg. And then inside of the hosiery, we'll put in a trim strip so it's easier to take the cast off the patient. And we want to get that all the way to the ends of the toes, because we definitely want to include the toes in the cast. A lot of times in the casting process, and kind of like what we've been taught for years, is to mark with an indelible marker or Sharpie marker or something, to mark all the bony prominences of the leg. Like I said, I'm going to use 2 hosieries for the patient. That way I don't have to worry about any hair coming through and getting caught into the model. And so both